Hello again and welcome to this week's video. Today I've drove up to the Hauxley Northumberland Wildlife Trust Reserve with a view of shooting some macro images. For me, landscape photography isn't just about the big views, it's also about the small things, small details. I like using a macro lens and just isolating little things, flowers, patterns, shapes. But today it's all about flowers. Spring has sprung, the colours are looking great, there's flowers popping up everywhere. And I'm going to go for a walk around the reserve and I'm going to take you along and show you some of the photos on the way. I've just taken a couple of shots of nettles, something I've wanted to photograph for a very long time. We walk past nettles every day and they're not the most inspiring subject, but when they're in flower, they can look absolutely beautiful, and it's something I've meant to photograph for a very long time, and I think I'm going to be pleased with the one shot I've just taken. You've probably noticed that I've been using a reflector for some of the shots so far. These are great, inexpensive aids that help you control the light a little bit. I'm using a gold reflector so I can bounce back a warm light into the areas which are slightly in shadow on the flowers. This just adds a little bit of warmth to it, and you know, it doesn't look artificial, which is the most important thing. But be warned, if you use these on a sunny day, you're going to bounce back warm light, which gets even warmer, and then it can look a bit over the top. But, you know, these cost me about £15. I've had it 20 years. It's got white on one side if I want to bounce back white light, gold on the other side to bounce back warm light, folds down small into my bag, and, you know, it can just be very useful. But if you don't have a reflector with you, and you happen to be walking and you've got a map, just use the white side of the map and bounce back white light exactly the same as you would do with a white reflector. Simple. I've even used in the past tinfoil to use a silver bounce, and that works as well. Now, anything that'll bounce a light back is good. And as I say, it takes no space in your bag. So it's time to go exploring. Let's walk around the reserve. Camera shake has been a serious issue with this shot because the depth of field is so limited because it's such a small flower. I don't really want to work at f2.8, so I've gone to f4, but as soon as I've gone to f4 at ISO 100, I'm getting 1/20th of a second, and whilst it's only a really small flower, there's still enough movement so the whole thing's not looking sharp, just slight motion blur. So I've increased my ISO to 800. I've dropped back down to f2.8, which is it's not ideal, and I've taken it, and it looks nice. It looks nice. Depth of field's minimal, very small, which is quite artistic. Because if I went to f8, f10, I would find that I'd get too much of the background leaves would start to become sharp and it become cluttered, and I need to keep it nice and simple. So I suppose what I'm trying to do, I'm not necessarily trying to get front to back sharpness, I'm not trying to get everything in focus, and I'm not necessarily trying to take a record shot. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to be a little bit more artistic about the final image. I could have used flash to freeze it, that would have been an option. I've got my flash with me. Such a small subject, I think I'd be concerned that it would look a little bit artificial with the lighting I've got. If I had a softbox perhaps, but I haven't got a softbox with me. So sometimes you have to make do with what you've got. With this shot, what I'm doing is, because there's a little bit of movement and also because the background's a little bit cluttered, I've decided I'm going to shoot the image as a low key with a black background. I'm not using any kind of physical background. I'm not using black paper, black velvet, etc. What I'm doing is I've put a 6x filter on to block out some light. I've set it to 200th of a second with a fairly high aperture, I think f16, and I've put a flash on. ISO is at base at 100, and what that produced was basically, before the flash was turned on, was produced an image which was totally black, no light in there at all. So now I've got the flash and I'm literally waiting for the wind to drop. Moving it around to try and get the desired effect of the light. So because I've stripped all the light out, all natural light, it's basically totally reliant on artificial light, and we've just got one light source, which is this little flash. I'm going to try and get as far behind the bluebell as I can to basically try and rim light it. It's far easier if you've got wireless triggers for your flash, which generally I will use quite often, but today I was walking, so I'm travelling quite light, so I just threw in this cheap third-party Canon flash cable. A little Godox flash, I think it is. Wish my arm was a little bit longer. I hope you've enjoyed today's walk around the nature reserve. It's a beautiful little spot, well worth a visit. Great at this time of year, there's abundance of wildflowers. And it has a great cafe, which is always good. If you have enjoyed today's video and you would like to see more, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and I will see you next week. Bye!